I don't know what's more confusing, learning astrology or just being a human. Moonday Musings is here to help with that. A weekly, no bullshit guide for the upcoming cosmic forecast and how you can actually use this in your real life. Hello, neighbor. Happy Monday and happy Moonday, my friend. Welcome to another episode here at Moonday Musings, or welcome to another episode of Moonday Musings here on That Witch podcast. My name is Danny, and I'm that very imperfect but real witch next door. And I'll be your host, your guide, your mentor, your spiritual bestie in all things modern witchcraft and cosmic living. Moonday Musings is here to move through the cosmic energy of the month, of the week, make it tangible, make it digestible, and workable into your life and your witchcraft practice. This week, we are focusing on our Astro highlights of the week. We'll do a little card reading with each other, and we'll see what's in store for us as far as the cosmos are concerned. This is the week of February 9th, 2026 through February 15th. So happy Valentine's Day and happy Galentine's Day. We've got some transits happening this week, don't we? We have our last quarter moon this week, so we are just coming off of that big, bright, quite illuminating full moon in Leo from last week. And we're rounding out. We are closing some loose ends. Tying those off is what I meant to say. We're tying off loose ends. We're closing chapters. We're taking stock. And we're getting ready to head into a new moon and a fresh moon cycle. Okay, that's what last quarter is all about. This week, we have a couple of planets changing signs. We have Venus moving into its sign of exaltation in Pisces. Exaltation basically refers to when a planet is moving into a sign that it really gets, really understands. The sign also really understands the energy of that planet. They play off of each other in really easy ways. And not only that, it usually can make it even easier for that planet to feel really, really on its game and in its strengths. And when Venus, our planet of love and attraction and beauty and our values and what we hold most meaningful, moves into super emotive, super connection-based Pisces, the energy is very friendly with one another. So whenever we talk about a planet being in exaltation or being in its fall, or when it's in its home sign or domicile, or when it's in detriment, what we're talking about are the essential dignities. We've talked about that before here on That Witch podcast. You can always search essential dignities on That Witch podcast and go back and listen to that for a super complete, very thorough exploration on the topic. I have a very helpful episode, a bonus episode inside of That Witch School, which all members, regardless of which subscription plan you're on in That Witch School, has access to, all about the essential dignities. So if you're in That Witch School and you're interested, make sure you go to our bonus episode library in Mighty Networks and check out the essential dignities episode. If you're not in That Witch School, you would probably love it. And not only do we have all of these amazing resources that are really reliable and really thorough and really helpful, That Witch School, at its core, is a community, a safe, welcoming, friendly, inclusive community that is headed up and held by yours truly here, alongside some pretty amazing team members, might I say. And all of that is only fortified even more by the absolutely incredible student body and community members that we have inside of That Witch School. It's like the witchy social media group of your dreams. And it really does exist. It really does. And we don't have all this stupid infighting in there. And we don't have to debate all these pointless things. We show up because if you, really get down with what we talk about here on That Witch podcast, you're probably going to get down with what we do in That Witch School. And if you like this vibe, just know that that's the vibe that I also attract. It's a place where we can show up in our hold on, partner, I'm overstimulated hoodie, or we can show up super fancy if we're feeling like it that day, or anywhere in between. It's a wonderfully imperfect, human first place where we all believe in magic and witchcraft, and we all express it in our own unique ways, and we're all interested in supporting each other and learning from each other and connecting with each other. Now, if you're interested in joining us, you can do that in the show notes below. But for now, this, in and of itself, is very, very Venus and Pisces energy. When Venus is in Pisces, not only are we more, craving connection, we're more open to it, it's easier to engage in it. And it feels like this very natural part of ourselves is connecting with these other very natural parts of other people that we just all naturally gravitate toward one another. And the same can go for not just our, people-to-people relationships, but our connection and relationship with really anything that we love, hold dear, or we hold value to. So when Venus is in Pisces, this is a wonderful time for expressing yourself through art or bringing people together through art and music and creativity. This is a wonderful time for gratitude work, a great time for being creative about how we connect with others. You can kind of get creative, think outside the box, be imaginative, tap into your nostalgia, tap into your inner child, and remember how easy it was when you were a kid to make friends. Maybe not literally for absolutely every single one of us do we have that experience, but for the most part, in a general sense, it's easier for kids, right, to connect with each other and make friends because they're so pure in their energy and they're so pure in their authenticity and what they like and what they don't like, and it makes their connection with each other much more easier and almost happen chance, honestly. And then as we become adults, it's a lot trixier and it feels a lot more complex, and we have all these formalities and these niceties, and we don't show up nearly as pure, and we, in our authenticity, and we kind of hide little parts of ourselves or shift little parts of ourselves, and we have to be careful about how we go about connection and stuff because we've experienced hardship, we've experienced pain. Venus and Pisces can help us show up in spite of those things, and they can help us get even more or the most out of our most reciprocal relationships, whether that, again, is with another person on the other end of that relationship, or an object, or an environment, or an art, or a piece of music. Our connections with people, places, and things really, really particularly fill our cup right now. So take that energy into your weekend of love, no matter what kind of love that is. You know what we could use right now is spreading a little bit more love. That is for sure. Now, keep all of that in mind, and let's talk about our other planet shifting signs this week, which is Saturn, who is actually moving out of the sign of Pisces and moving into the sign of Aries. Quite different in vibe, quite different. Saturn is different from Venus, and Aries is very different from Pisces. Saturn, I have described many times in my career as kind of our inner chaperone, our inner teacher, but it's the type of teacher that whose methods really are based in experiential learning. You learn it the hard way. You learn it by going through it. And I'm here to guide, and I'm here to listen, and I'm here to perhaps remind you of what's happened in the past so that you can make some informed decisions moving forward. All of that is very, very, very Saturnian. And it's why I've also described Saturn as a data tracker. It keeps track and documentation in a metaphorical way, sometimes in physical ways, of our experiences and what we've been through. And it's those parts of ourselves that are always remembering the past and always remembering what we've been through so that we can make informed decisions moving forward. So right off the bat, we can kind of see how this is a little bit different than our Venus moving into Pisces. Venus in Pisces, like I said, can help us engage in connection in spite of good experiences we've had and also very painful and hard experiences we've had, and still helps us show up and really embody connection. Saturn is kind of that part of ourselves that can remind us of painful experiences, of trauma, of mistakes. It can remind us of things that we've said or done that we don't super feel great about now because of who we are now. But Saturn is that powerful, powerful guide and reminder that you are not defined by your past, but you can be informed by it. And when Saturn moves into Aries, this is going to be a very, very fascinating couple of years for sure. And I think it's going to be a very necessary couple of years. Aries, unlike Pisces, is not as motivated by connecting with other people. Aries can be plenty social, don't get me wrong. Aries energy is not like automatically antisocial. But at the same time, Aries is the sign of self. And it is the sign of exploring, often self-exploration, and being willing to put yourself first. And when we look at the Aries-Libra axis, Libra is the opposite sign of Aries. Libra is very, very concerned with other, while Aries, conversely, is very, very concerned with self. I think that this is going to be a necessary thing. I do think we're going to see some of those Aries shadows while Saturn is in Aries. And of course we will. We're going to see some selfishness. We're going to see some recklessness. We're going to see some restlessness, some impulsivity. We'll definitely see some impatience. We will see more rage bait, I bet. But we are also going to see some doors open for some super necessary sacred rage, for some very necessary self-focus. I think that it's going to help us put into perspective things and others we've been focused on all this time, and maybe we could give ourselves permission to be focused on ourselves. And my biggest metaphor, and hopefully this becomes a little more literal, is, for example, I think that when it comes to our government, I think that there's kind of been this lopsided to our relationship with our government, who is supposed to show up for us and our citizenry. And we have been learning more and more. They've I could go on and on, but we have been revealed so much in the last couple of weeks, really in just the last week since I talked to you. I'm somebody that was already informed, and I knew about the Epstein files. I've known about them for about 10 years. I remember about 6 years ago when they started getting talked about even more. I remember when that documentary came out, people kind of cared about it for a little bit, but then it kind of got swept under the rug again. And now what's being revealed, and now even just the little bit percentage of the files that have been released have been Pandora's box has super duper been opened. And this is where I think that some Aries energy, especially Saturn in Aries, is going to be helpful, because maybe where we've been misprioritizing or misunderstanding who actually is for us, maybe some things have come to light and are a little more clear, and maybe we can give ourselves permission maybe we could take care of each other a little bit more. Maybe we as a whole, like as a collective of citizenry, maybe we do the Aries thing by saying, we're going to focus on ourselves, meaning us as citizens. So there is kind of this connective aspect, but at the same time, it's also removing so much priority to this big other that has been saying it's one thing and clearly behind closed doors has been another, and clearly has been taking not just advantage of our populace, but directly lying to and harming it, not just in the totally frontal, abrupt ways we can even see with our own eyes, but now we're being revealed absolutely horrific things that were being very, very hidden from us. And I am hoping very, very much in this extremely difficult, horrific revelation of big truths that it's going to help us tap into some very necessary sacred rage, some very necessary inner strength and inner resilience, very necessary connection to our inner warrior archetype, okay? In the name of truth, in the name of growth, in the name of information, and moving forward, now knowing better, essentially, okay? So we've got these two planets moving into two different signs this week, two very different types of planets moving into two very different types of signs, both very, very necessary. And I think both have some serious medicine to offer us as well. Also, for all my witches out there, it's Friday the 13th this year. We get a bunch of Friday the 13th this year. I can't remember how many, but a couple people have let me know. I think we get like 3 Friday the 13th this year, which is awesome. Friday the 13th used to be considered this really, really unlucky day and number, and we don't need to go in the history of it, but what I can tell you is that 13 is a lunar associated number. It is not unlucky, especially among the occult and the magical crowds, and it actually can be seen as not just a very lucky day, but in my opinion, my favorite way to celebrate and honor the energy of any Friday the 13th is embracing my inner weirdo and embracing my inner misfit and being my own version of a Friday the 13th. You know what I mean? I love a good Friday the 13th, and usually we do watch at least one of the Friday the 13th movies because we are horror fans over here. But February 13th is kind of officially, unofficially Galentine's Day. Shout out to Parks and Rec and, of course, the lovely Leslie Knope. I love Galentine's Day, and I love the energy of Galentine's Day simply being about sort of like platonic Valentine's Day, and it's just about like celebrating your friends. And you can really turn it into a girls' day and celebrating women and femininity. All of that stuff is great, but honestly, you can go even broader with that, and I want to share it with everybody and say that Galentine's Day is a vibe, There's no rules on Galentine's Day. It's more about celebrating your platonic relationships the day before we, immerse ourselves in celebrating romantic love, which is usually what Valentine's Day is very, very associated with. I love the idea of Venus moving into Pisces and Saturn moving into Aries, leading up to Friday the 13th and Galentine's Day and Valentine's Day. I hope that it's kind of a particularly weird and funky one, hopefully in a fun way, or at least some fun ways. And I hope that it helps us, especially in Pisces and Aries energy. I'm really hoping that there's this kind of unapologetic embodying of just who we are and our super freaking weirdo little selves. So let's ask the cards here for a little message to amplify or support our cosmic messages of today. So in honor of Aries well, again, in honor of Venus and Saturn being very, very different from one another, and in honor of Pisces and Aries being very, very different from each other, I wanted to use two very, very different decks alongside each other today. So I brought two favorites. I've got my traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, which is, this is the one I've been using a little bit here in our last couple of moon days. The artist who created this deck, or should I say kind of manipulated it, shifted a lot of the colors to emphasize blacks and golds. So where we normally in the Rider-Waite-Smith have like a big bright blue sky or even a big bright yellow sky, all of the backgrounds are black. And then we've got lots of gold and black embellishments and detailing all throughout the cards. I'm showing you what's at the bottom of the deck, which is the Chariot, but this is not the card that I actually pulled. But take a little Chariot with you. The other deck that I'm using is the Work Your Light deck by Rebecca Campbell, illustrated by the beautiful Danielle Noel. This deck is very, very light and breezy and gentle and pastel. And we've got, look at the colors. We've got lots of softness, lots of gentleness. It's very, very different than the other deck. And I was like, what's going to bring us a message of balance, I think, in a week like this is grabbing two totally different seeming and different looking decks. So before I reveal the cards, let's take a quick moment. Let's breathe. You can roll out your shoulders. You can stretch your neck. You can wiggle your fingers and toes. You can blink your eyes open and open. Do some weird, goofy mouth movements and kind of wake up your facial expressions. Shift your posture so that it feels very grounded and centered. And if you want or you need to pause this episode right here and really give yourself as many moments as you need to ground and center your energy, please feel free to do that. I'll be here as soon as you're ready. And whenever you are, you can open yourself up to any insight, any guidance, any messages that you may be needing or seeking at this time. So interesting talking about the difference in connecting with others and connecting with self right now. Some of those differences in Pisces and Aries, because our Rider-Waite-Smith card is the Hermit, which feels really, really perfect today, honestly. Whenever I pull the Hermit, I let my eyes really focus on that lantern. That lantern and that light from that lantern represents our inner guidance, our inner guiding forces when we really, really go within. Sometimes it's about drawing inward. Remember, we just crossed over Imbolc, but we are still in winter. We are not in spring energy yet. And this is still a time for definitely giving yourself some permission to spend some time with yourself or to do any inner work that you're being called to do right now. Just as perfect for this little this or that energy this week. From the Work Your Light deck, we pulled the Share Your Voice card. What's cool about the Share Your Voice card is obviously there's this aspect of others, right? Because sharing your voice means that somebody on the other side is there to hear. But what's cool is that the imagery on this actual card is of a single figure. And this person is looking out. They're in a cave, and the camera, if you will, the POV of the artist is from within the cave. This person's sitting at the mouth of the cave, and we can see to the other side, and they're facing the other side, and there's a great big water in front of them and this very mystical, celestial looking sky. And my interpretation of this imagery is that this figure, this person, is sharing their voice with the world, with the universe, and the universe is listening and taking them in. So on the Share Your Voice card, it says, come out of the cave, persecution, expression. You are being called to share your voice, perhaps by speaking up in a relationship or through writing, speaking, singing, or some other form of creative expression. We each hold a truth deep within us that longs to be expressed. Sculpted for lifetimes, the voice of your soul is like no other. It carries with it wisdom that can only be gained through soul history and growth. By remembering, tapping into, and expressing this unique tone, we not only heal ourselves, we also heal the planet at large. When you share your voice, you unlock something in the universe and call a missing piece of you home. Your individual voice is the most powerful sound current on the planet. If you have kept your soul's voice silenced or held back, chanting or singing could be truly life-changing for you. As we shed the layers of our personality and start letting our unique soul speak through us, we discover that we actually have a very clear message that longs to be shared. The more we speak it, the clearer it gets. There has never been a better time in history than right now to rise up. Speak your truth and share your soul's voice. If you feel fearful, know that you are not alone and that the world needs your unique tone in order to harmonize. As we rise up and share our song, we make it easier for the next person to do the same. Like what? Are you serious? Doesn't it feel like this deck was just published and released right now fresh? Nope. Just perfectly fitting for right now. Taking the Hermit into consideration with the Share Your Voice card. Do the inner work. Let yourself be guided by that inner light. And don't be afraid to share your soul's voice. The world needs it now, honestly, more than ever. And now is the time, my friend. This week, we are going to be bringing our additional episode back onto the podcast. And the episode this week is definitely going to be my version of this, of the Hermit card and the Share Your Voice card. So it is so funny pulling these cards in retrospect, even just for myself personally. And I hope that that episode inspires you as well to get to your core truth and to share what that is, to speak up what you're feeling called to speak up about right now. Each of our voices individually matter, and together they only get stronger and stronger and stronger, my friend. We are nearing our Aries new moon, which is also going to be the beginning of eclipse season 1 this year. We have 2 eclipse seasons every year. Season 1 of 2026 begins next week on Tuesday, my friend. We'll talk about that when we cross that bridge. But I do very firmly believe that the energy this week and has been transpiring is directly setting us up for where we're going, where we're most called, and our highest purpose right now. Big, good stuff this week. I really appreciate you being here, neighbor. Thank you for spending each moon day with me. It means the world to me, and I really, really, truly enjoy my time with you as well. I will see you on Wednesday for our first That Witch podcast episode back of 2026. And until then, my friend, make sure, of course, that you're out there staying safe. You're still letting yourself have some fun. Keep taking care of each other. And of course, stay magical, my friend. If you enjoyed today's episode, if you learned something, or you just love That Witch podcast, one of the best things that you can do is share the show with a friend. Just by reaching out and sharing a link or recommending us to somebody is hands down the best way to help us grow our podcast here. So you can head right now into the podcast app that you're listening to, and you can directly share this episode by using your little share link button, or you can just take a screenshot or just mention That Witch podcast to whoever you're recommending us to, because you can find That Witch podcast on all major podcast listening platforms. Thanks for being such a great neighbor.